Hi, Scott from Dekor. Today we're going to talk about click engineered hardwood flooring. There's two ways you can install this type of flooring. You can either click float it, which is what most people will do, but it can also be glued down to the subfloor. If you do that, you're going to need to use a good quality urethane flooring adhesive. Most people though will go with the easier method of just floating the floor. That's designed for that. In that application, the key element of a well-performing floating floor is to have a firm and flat subfloor. That means flatness means it needs to be within 1/8 of an inch on 6 feet or 3/16 of an inch on 10 feet. If you're outside of those tolerances, you're going to need to either sand down the high spots or fill in the low spots to bring it to within tolerances. We want to avoid having too much movement in the floor, so an uneven subfloor will create deflection. Deflection can create noise and all kinds of other problems. Also, you need to use a good quality underlay. If you're going over a concrete subfloor or in a basement application, you're going to need to use a membrane that has a vapor barrier integrated in it. A vapor barrier is 6 mil poly or equivalent. Important also to note that when you install any kind of floating floor, it needs to have room to move. During seasonal humidity change, the floor expands and contracts, even if it's ever so slightly. That's why we always leave an expansion gap around the perimeter of the room. And when we talk about an expansion gap around the perimeter of the room, we also mean any fixed vertical objects. So if you have kitchen cabinets, if you have support posts, anything like that, that's considered like a wall. You're going to need to leave the space around it. Also, you need to use T-transition moldings in all the doorways to separate the rooms. If somebody wants to absolutely install a click engineered hardwood floor interconnected throughout multiple rooms, that's where the glue down application comes in. Because as a floating floor, your expansion and contraction is going to be exponential to the size of the floor. So let's get to it, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to click this floor together. All right, so I've gone ahead and laid out my first, the starter row, essentially, which we've put shims in place. I'm using just cut pieces of 1/2 inch flooring. The rule of thumb is your expansion is generally the thickness of the floor. You can also purchase kits that have different shims and tools for floating floors. Those are available in the flooring section at Home Depot. We're also using the Quick Prep Life Proof underlay here, which is a really nice fan fold product. So we're just going to get ready to lay this out. You notice I've racked out some flooring already. This is, you always want to work from multiple boxes, and you want to be grabbing pieces and laying them out so that you don't end up with end joints that line up. You always want to leave a space of at least 6 to 8 inches between your end joints in consecutive rows. So I've already racked out my floor so that I can just click it together without having to hunt and search for pieces while I'm going. All right, so here I am putting down the flooring. It goes together very easily. You always want to leave your lower lip, so you always install from left to right when you're putting it in. You just basically slide it into place. It's super easy to do. So you slide it in, bring it down right to the end, and just drop it. The end joints just simply lock in place. That simple. Make sure that you're getting full lock, so everything drops down flat. Never force the profiles, never hit the profiles directly with any tools. It should all go together easily by hand. Make sure there's no, if you see here, well you can't because I'm blocking the way. There's bits of plywood I just pulled out of the profile, so just make sure also that everything's clean, and you'll see that it goes together a lot easier that way. Like I mentioned previously, we want to stagger our end joints minimum of 8 inches. This is not just for aesthetics, it's also for the floor itself. When it moves during seasonal humidity change, it's going to it'll create a weak spot if there's a whole cluster of the end joints together. So it's a good idea and a requirement actually to stagger those end joints by at least 6 to 8 inches. So this is how easy it goes together. It's pretty basic. Again, draw from multiple boxes so you can mix the color variation into the floor. And if you prepare everything in advance, it can go down that quickly. So I just did 4 rows in about under a minute. So that's how easy it is to install click engineered hardwood flooring. So let's recap the key elements to a successful installation. You need to have a firm and flat subfloor. You need to have a quality underlay, and if you're going over concrete or over in a basement application, you'll need to use one with an integrated vapor barrier. You'll also need to have expansion around all fixed vertical objects, and use T-transition moldings in all the doorways. And when you're installing the floor, make sure you stagger your end joints by at least 6 to 8 inches, and to draw from multiple boxes so you spread out any color variations throughout the floor to get a nicer looking, more natural looking floor. Finally, a few tips on maintenance. Never clean your finished engineered hardwood flooring with water or water-based cleaners. You should always sweep and vacuum and use products made specifically for pre-finished hardwood floor. Usually they're sprayed right on a microfiber mop and put on the floor to clean. You never spray directly any liquids on the surface of the floor. Finally, maintain your humidity levels within the required range. Each product may have slight variations, but this will minimize the amount of movement in your floor, which will happen during seasonal humidity change. So keeping your relative humidity more constant will maintain your floor in a more fixed position. So I hope that was informative for you, and thanks for watching.